Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from around the world, talking with makers from around the world. Here's Jamie Page, Steve Twidell, Chris Cute, and now your host, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, and wherever you are listening. Joining me this evening, Mr. Chris Cute.
Cheers. Hello.
And Mr. Jamie Page. Or should I say,
hello.
James. He's my good friend, James.
No, you can say Jamie.
If anyone doesn't know, or those of you that maybe do, Catherine and myself went, had a little trip down to the lovely county of Kent and stayed with our good friends, James and Victoria. It was a very good time.
That sounded so 18th century. We stayed with James and Victoria.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because we was actually drafting it over the barbecue of, James and Victoria of Kent of 1920.
Let's create some new rules for the subjects. Anyway,
absolutely. If you haven't got a subject, just make it all up. So I think, we'll try and get back to the normal show. So I'll give a quick shout out to those people that are listening in the live chat that are with us. If you can, come join us on a Sunday night at 4:30 Eastern? Is it, Chris?
Yes.
So
yes.
Which is 21:30 UK time, or work out your own time zone then. So for us right now, it is Sunday, and in the live chat we do have, and I'm just randomly pulling out names from the live chat here. There's Doug from Paul Barn Productions, Andy Pugh, Karam Hussein, Hippie Noodle. That's kind of weird because she's like just over there, but anyway. Andy, we've already mentioned. Wayne Bigfoot Woodcraft, The Beard 16, Rich, Sokomo Woodcraft, and let's have another one. Andy from Age Bespoke. So those people have been chatting in the live chat. They kind of stuck out. So hi to all of you folks in the live chat. Whew. Don't forget, as always, tonight's show is brought to you in part by Yorkshire Grit, the Woodturners Abrasive Paste, our good friend Chad over at Mancrafting, and Pam from Highland Boxes, all of which are giving away kind of their cool stuff every now and again. And I think, Jamie, you're organising that way we kind of give away their stuff to people. Do you not?
Yeah, we do it kind of a big giveaway every 3 months or so. So we'll have one of them in the next couple of months, I think.
That's sort of like corporate talk for when we can be bothered, but
basically, yeah.
When we remember.
We
better do that, hadn't we? Yes, let's do it next week. So all the information generally is on our website, and there you can find out about the sponsors, us, and not much else, to be perfectly honest, but it's probably worth a visit. So that address for that is makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors. And like I said, Jamie keeps all that good stuff updated and all that good jazz. What we're supposed to be talking about burnout this evening, are we not? I don't know quite who came up with that.
Well, it was brought up by one of our listeners who's out in the chat today. It was brought up by Andy Pugh. And he asked the question. I don't know if you wanted to just jump right into this, or if you wanted to chat with you about your weekend with the Pages for a little bit, because I know that you and Richard and Jamie, by the way, in case you don't know, spent the past 4 or 5 days actually in the same vicinity.
Weeks. Oh, it was forever. It was like
Felt like a lifetime.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Now you come to mention it, Chris, just to kind of double back a little bit as to where the question come from, and it was because every week we do the whole random list of questions for the week, and you posted out, has anyone got any questions? I remember Andy came up with some good ideas, did he not?
Oh yeah, I've got several more from Andy, but today we decided to do this one, so thank you, Andy, appreciate it.
Yeah, it saved us there, mate. It would have been nothing without that, so yeah, definitely.
We're pretty much still nothing anyway.
In line with the topic, no idea what we're talking about.
Did you guys have any little curious stories to pass along to us regarding your recent visit, or did you want to just jump right into this today?
We had a good week, didn't we, Jamie?
Yeah, we went down to Folk Week down there.
What is that?
Folk Week is basically a load of people whacking each other with sticks. And they got bells all over them.
Oh, you guys know how to party. All right, cool.
So it's kind of I mean, as an outsider, I got the impression it was kind of a sort of a folk festival-y type deal. There were a lot of folk music, people singing folk songs in the bandstand, and loads of buskers like up and down the sort of. Is that a promenade, or is it like along the top of the cliffs?
The cliff top and the pier.
So it was just a nice relaxed atmosphere. I mean, when we went to visit Jamie last year on the road trip, it was one of those places where we decided on the last day that we hadn't spent long enough there, and we didn't want to go home, but we had to move on and all the rest of it. So we decided that we'd actually go back to Broadstairs.
You actually came out of season as well last time as well, didn't you?
Yeah, it was because a year ago we were actually visiting Soph, so it would have been it was just after UKISS, wasn't it, if I remember rightly?
Yeah.
You stayed. Anyway, it was slightly out of season. We had a nice time, and we decided we'd quite like to go and kind of revisit it as a proper vacation. So Kat booked up for a new vacation. We let slip to Jamie that we were going to be in the neighbourhood, and we pretty much ended up hanging out with you guys for the entire week, didn't we? Which wasn't the original plan. It just kind of happened. It was like, well, let's do something tomorrow, and that was the week done. So we did a bit of making at Jamie's.
So essentially what you're saying is you guys were planning on going to that area for a vacation, and somehow Jamie found out about it, and then you had to we should probably
it might have been the 20-odd texts that made me find out about it.
I think what actually gave
open up your bloody door, Jamie.
Well, because I know where Jamie lives, let me ask the important question. Did Seaside Rick feel comfortable there? Was Seaside Rick in his new home space? I mean, I assume that Seaside Rick was having a good time.
Seaside Rick had an absolutely brilliant time, definitely.
It's funny that Chris is putting on that voice because he forgets that I can get hold of the edits of this podcast as well.
Well, no, I don't care. Go ahead and edit that. You can edit that all you want, Mr. Page. I have no problems. I've been out of that ocean for a while. Should we crack on with today's subject before we get burned out on this one?
but Kat's actually just said, because it wasn't just Kat and I. Minnie Noodle came with us as well. So
I thought Minnie Noodle was going to put my lathe in her pocket.
I think if you'd have looked the other way, mate, she would have done. So Minnie Noodle went because she wanted to meet Jamie and do a little bit of turning at Jamie's, and I think it was a big part of the reason we spent such an amount of time. But I say such an amount of time, like all the time, hanging out with Jamie and Vicky, was because Chloe's got recently into turning. That's Dirk's Works for anyone on Instagram. So go and follow Dirk's Works on Instagram. And she was really excited about. Well, you guys did all the making, didn't you? With the dinosaur egg and the egg cup and what else did she?
Yeah, she basically made turned a dinosaur egg, and an egg cup, and it's got lights in it, so it flashes, and she's got pictures of it on her Instagram. So yeah, she's done really, really well. I mean, I didn't help her really at all. I basically just said, you don't hold carbide tools like traditional, you hold them flat. That's it, you know. I mean, and that was kind of the reason we hung out with Jamie for so long. But we did a bit of seaside stuff, and it's kind of good to have just a chill out session. It was nice, but I didn't do any videoing, even though presumably people have kind of worked out that recently or this month I've been putting out a video every single day, including whilst we were away on vacation for a week. And it was nice to just not turn the camera on, just to kind of hang out and do stuff and chill out and eat fish and chips on the beach or have a barbecue in a campsite or whatever it was, because
Perfect segue then, Richard.
That was what I was struggling with, because it is nice to just get on and do stuff rather than have the pressure of all that. And that, like you said, Chris, that does lead us into
It does lead us right into today's question, and it was in today's topic. And thankfully, once again, thanks to Andy Pugh for asking this question, because I think we've all gone through it, and some of us more than once. Andy's question today, not only for us, but for the folks out in the chat today as well, and for the people who want to chat about it when this comes out on Wednesday, please, I mean, voice your opinions. Let us everybody know what you do, because it's going to do nothing but help others that may be struggling with it. Andy's question was, what is that noise? First of all,
that was me moving my mic.
Okay. Andy's question was how to avoid burnout as a maker. And following that up with the secondary thing about how to avoid burnout as a YouTube maker, because they are two, I think, and Andy rightly differentiates between the two. They are two different things. You can get burned out as being a YouTuber, but not be burned out as a maker. But you can also be burned out as a maker, but don't want to be burned out as a YouTuber. So the question today is that we want to deal with is, and it's something that I think everybody in the community who does this on any sort of, I don't know, consistent basis is going, you're going to hit that wall sooner or later. And so, I mean, how do you deal with burnout when it happens to you? And I don't know that Jamie or Richard have even experienced it. I would assume that Jamie probably not, but Richard may have run into it, only because Richard does this for a living. But there's I guess there's a different driving force behind getting burned out when you're doing it for a living, as opposed to getting burned out just because you're having fun. And when you no longer have fun, you don't have to do it anymore. But when you're doing it for a living, I don't care how you still have to put food on the table. So, it's not quite as nonchalant that you can just slug off and do again when you feel like it. It's that's tomorrow's work. So sorry, pal, you don't have time to have burnout. But anyway, let me ask a question. So, Jamie, Richard, if you want to kick things off, have you ever dealt with it, first of all? And if you have dealt with it, how did you handle it?
Coming from go on, mate.
No, you dive in, because I
can go from, obviously, like you said, Richard can go from both a YouTuber's side and from a tradesperson side. But from a YouTube perspective, or YouTuber's perspective, I guess the best way to prevent it is don't try and become a superstar. If it happens, then great, but don't try too hard. Don't let yourself become obsessed with numbers and subscribers and all that sort of stuff, because that gets stuck in your head, And once that gets stuck in your head, just keep YouTube fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting into YouTube because you want to make a career of it, first of all, I would say,
straight away, forget. If you're going to do that, give up.
Yeah, just do me a favor and try to diversify more than that. Otherwise, you're going to be wanting. Trust me. But at the same time, what I think helps avoid that, Jamie, and this isn't really these are things that can bring you down. We're not exactly addressing head on the subject we're talking about today, but things that can get you down is if you start comparing your channel to other people's channels, and you start going back and forth, going, oh, he's got, they have more, they have less, and you start comparing. Don't compare yourself to anyone. Compare yourself to what you are having fun with. Look, if you're expecting to have, 500,000 subscribers by the end of the year, then you might want to readjust your expectations. And unless you are 100% convinced that, hey, I've got the shizzle, my nizzle, and I know this is going to, then if you've got that kind of confidence, then go ahead. But I'm just saying, be prepared to have that confidence shattered, because it does freaking happen. Like you, Jamie. I mean, Jamie and I come from the same perspective. We do this because we want to have fun. I don't care if I have. Yeah. I don't really care if I have 20 subscribers. It's just fun to do. I happen to be one of those weirdos that likes editing and producing things and just, creating. That's part of the process. And it's like when I was making back in my garage when I lived in Florida, nobody ever saw the stuff that I was making, and I wasn't looking for. I was just having fun with the process. YouTube to me is that same outlook. It's the process. I enjoy the process. And if other people happen to enjoy it, what I do, then that's far out. But I mean, I expect nothing. I mean, I really don't.
I kind of agree and I disagree. This is going to be a weird one. And I deliberately, I mean,
totally expected from you.
Obviously, I'm going to disagree because I've got an opinion.
Right.
I mean, what you talk about expectations and kind of following the numbers and wanting more, whatever it is, whether it's views, minutes, subscribers, income, blah blah blah. That doesn't matter. But numbers, just kind of strings of digits. It reminds me of a conversation I had quite recently, actually, with Andy Pugh about perspective, and I think that's the key, keeping things in perspective. So if you want 500,000 subscribers, say, and I know Bobby's in the chat, because I saw him, so hi Bobby, but I'm going to pick on Bobby in the kind of sense in the sense of the kind of the scale of his channel and the number of subscribers and
right. But I mean, he didn't start out with that. But go ahead.
No, he didn't. But bear with me. If you're starting out and you've got, you're in that kind of 0 to 1,000 bracket, you're going, I want 500,000. Then yeah, absolutely. I think you might need to either increase your kind of timeline, perhaps, or kind of
maybe you just look at a stroke your own ego.
Looking. Well,
well, let's be honest. I mean, the spade is the spade.
I'm always kind of trying to get, another subscriber and grow things. And I always have the whole time I've had my channel.
Nothing wrong with
it. But I've never gone out and gone, I want 1 million or I want 100,000. It's always been like just that little bit extra. It's like walking down the street and going, do you know what? Because you're late, I'm going to run to the next street light.
Richard, that's no different than learning how to do woodworking and cutting dovetails by hand. All you want to do is say that you're making progress. I hear you.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by perspective. But if you're like, let's say you're kind of on Bobby's scale. I mean, I don't know what Bobby's current subscriber is, but it's definitely in 7 figures. So if he then wanted to add 500,000 subscribers by Christmas, that's probably not unrealistic. Whereas if he wanted to add 10 million subscribers, then that may be unrealistic. That's what I mean by perspective.
Well, what I'm talking about here, the reason I want to bring this back is because the reason why we began talking about this is these are the things that we're talking about that can cause burnout, especially if you don't achieve what you hoped to have achieved. Because we've had a number of friends in the community. I don't want to, and I'm not going to name names, but people have gotten into doing YouTube, have become part of the community, and they just become frustrated because they're not at the level where they feel they should be, and they just go away. It's like we talked about in previous episodes where people will buy a cheap machine, try it, get frustrated with it, and then never want to do that again just because it hasn't met with their expectations. My point here is we're not talking about YouTube today, okay? We're talking about burnout. But these are little things that you can adjust if you can mentally handle it yourself to make that adjustment to avoid pitfalls that can lead to burnout. And even if you do all that, what we're saying, and I'm not saying it's the gospel, you do what you want to do. I mean, for crying out loud. But burnout is still going to happen. If you do one thing for a certain period of time, sooner or later, you're going to get sick of doing that one thing, regardless of what it is. And that is burnout. I mean, because like Richard, you do what you do for a living. When I was, in business and I was doing things, that's the point in time where when you're working for a corporate and you're able to do that, you take a friggin' vacation. It's like, okay, it's time for me to go on vacation because I'm getting irritable. I'm not enjoying this right now. And people are ticking me off far too easily. And I need to have a vacation. I need to take a week off, clear my head, go to the beach, go visit Jamie, shake hands with Seaside Rick, and then I can go back to work and I've got a fresh mind. It's just, that's what burnout is. It's like, I'm just tired of doing what I'm doing and I'm not having fun with it anymore. So how do you recover from that is the question, because it happens.
Come visit me to relax.
Well, you know what, Jamie, that was going to be one of my points I was going to bring up today, and I don't want to sit here and talk about this whole thing. You guys chime in. If you are struggling with doing things, because most of us work by ourselves, we work on our own, in our own time, and it's a solitary thing that we do as far as YouTube. But for me, it's even as far as making, it's a solitary thing, because my wife is obviously not going to be out there helping me sand, and she'd look at me and go, sorry, I'm going to get my nails done instead. Bye-bye. It's one of those things. But And the way to handle it sometimes is to change your environment, in order to change your environment, just remove yourself from what you're doing. But like I was saying about you, Jamie, is that if you want to, or if you have the opportunity to go work with somebody who's fun, who you like Jamie, and like, hey, there's Bobby Duke, and then hi Bobby, how are you, buddy?
Yay.
Then go do it, because that can help, because it kind of refocuses. Yeah, man, what's going on, my brother?
I mean, there's quite a few interesting comments actually that people are making. I saw one. I'm trying to find it again. It's moving pretty quick. I think it was Karam said burnout's like a natural part of any process, and I think to some degree that is true.
To a large degree, that's true. But okay, go ahead.
I mean, it depends what you want to call burnout. Hello? I mean, it's hello.
All right,
Bobby. We'll say hello in a sec. Richard, go ahead.
Okay. I sort of lost my train of thought. Anyway, what was I saying? Natural process. I think it's like the key is to almost kind of recognize it. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, I think it's more down to boredom rather than anything else. I think personally, I associate burnout with stress, overworked, pressure, that kind of thing. Whereas actually, it just could be like just bored. There's other things, and I relate that to when you do a project. You go halfway through a project, and you're like, "Oh, this is kind of dragging on a bit longer than I thought it was." And then all of a sudden, somebody puts out, or you talk about something with somebody, and get another idea, and they're like, "Oh no, I've got to do that one instead." And you sort of just kind of get bored with the first one and move on, and then you end up with like.
Well, no, I think the burnout is that we're talking about. I think is the extreme that makes you want to stop doing what you're doing for a while anyway. You may know that you always are going to get back into it, but right now you just don't have the motivation, the desire. You're just burned out. You need to do something different, and then you can re-energize and come back to it. And it happens to a lot of us. Bobby, has that ever happened to you where you've just gotten, I mean, from an artist standpoint, I mean, have you ever just gone, you know what? I need to take a break, because a lot of times you get a mental block or whatever the case may be, and then you take the break and then you come back. I mean, has that happened to you?
Almost at the end of each video. That's kind of why I have big gaps in between videos, is because I'm the artist, the film videographer, the editor, the everything. And a lot of times a piece or the idea of the video itself will take a lot out of me. And I'll just, at the end, when I put it out, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't think about anything right now. I just got to chill out. And it used to not be that way. I used to put out, 3, sometimes 4 videos a month. And it seems to be getting worse. I think also because of the way my videos are, they're really involved, editing wise. That does kind of take a toll. I enjoy editing, but I'm going to start to, I'm at the point now where I can actually hire somebody to help me with editing. I think that will help a lot. But yeah, the burnout thing is real. Also the pressure aspect of it, there's a lot of pressure from people waiting for videos. And then also now that it's my job, there's the financial aspect of it, and that my family's depending on me as well. And dealing with sponsors is great, but it's also one of the bigger stresses, because if the video doesn't do well, then they are not happy. And I don't know, it's a mixture of pressure and also just the involvement that I have with the videos that can kind of lead to burnout. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's everything now becomes exponentially more important.
Yeah.
Because if the project's a little bit not quite there, and you're right at the start of that trajectory, you can kind of get away with it. And if you haven't got somebody breathing down your neck and it's not quite as popular as you'd hoped, that's not there. And if that's now, the sponsors breathing down your neck, they're not happy, the money's not happy, everything starts to get just that little bit more important at each stage, which then just becomes a much bigger weight. But also, Bobby, your videos the actual projects are more involved, aren't they? They're more time consuming. They're not just small projects.
Yeah, these aren't things that you quick cut, glue together, screw, done. But Bobby, let me ask you a question, because I'm looking for a different perspective on this just momentarily, if you don't mind. Because you didn't all of a sudden become this wonderful person because you one day decided to start a YouTube channel. There was a life before you did YouTube, and you obviously had spent a serious amount of time learning your craft before you ever launched your YouTube channel.
Right.
Did you run into any kind of burnout or situation like that prior to the expectations that were laid on you? And because I get what you're saying, but I mean, prior to that, to the guy that's just tired of doing what he's doing, I mean, did you run into that, or have you always been able to manage the time that you spent just by saying, when I'm in the mood, I'll do it. When I'm not in the mood, I won't? I mean, if you've been able to do that, then, you know, power to you. But I'm just curious, because have you run into that problem before you were on YouTube?
Not nearly as much, and I'm not burned out or anything. I put in a buffer zone at the end of each video because of how kind of spent I feel. But yeah, before, when I was a truck driver and doing other jobs, I would do it as my for my free time, was just doing the things that I enjoy doing, and there was no pressure associated with it. It was purely just whatever I felt like doing. And it still is to that an extent, but there's a lot more thought that goes into each project, because I still have to do something that people will want to watch, because that is my job now. So it's less about only what I want to do, but also the aspect of what will get people wanting to watch this. And there's so much else surrounding the videos. Like, if it was just the project, then it would be way easier. But I've kind of boxed myself in by creating usually some kind of either a story involved, or a funny intro, or these tangents and things. And I feel like I have to keep that up, which is what I want to do anyways. But I've made it a lot more work than just the art. Like, the video is the art now. Right. Besides just what I'm making. So, and ultimately that is the product, is the video, because I don't sell my work. So the video is what I'm serving up. It needs to be the thing that's entertaining, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So what do you do to kind of alleviate that pressure? Or, I mean, you said you give yourself a buffer at the end of a project. Do you say, right, I'm going to have a week at the end of this project, and that's, you know, that, or do you, like, I'm going to have some time and I'll see how I feel?
Yeah,
or...
kind of. It's very unstructured. That's my problem.
He watches my videos, JP Woodwork, on YouTube.
Oh, Jesus, Jamie.
That's what I do.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's kind of this, it's very unstructured. I get done with a video, and it depends on what I have lined up and what ideas I have and how much I'm really wanting to get to them. But a lot of times I'll just kind of just don't think about anything for a while, you know, get off of social media, or just kind of live my life for a minute. And then I kind of start feeling that urge again, that pull to do something. I really should be more structured. Like, you know, I could put out a lot more videos, but I also don't want to hate it at the same time.
It's a weird hamster wheel, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else can relate to this. Potentially, Chris, Jamie, anyone listening. I find I'll do a video and I'll be like, oh, actually, yeah, that was kind of cool. I'll do another one. I'll do another one, and I'll do another one. I've got time, I can do another one. And you end up just going from video, and just the faster you run, the faster the wheel goes. You have to keep running fast to keep it going. And then all of a sudden, that's it, you spinning in the wheel, and then nothing for ages.
And that's what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me, because when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't start it to put out a video once every week. I started it to just document what I was doing, and then thinking that, and then all of a sudden I found out people were interested. I was like, holy crap. I didn't expect that, but okay. And then, you know, I said, well, I'll do another video, because I've got, you know, I mean, I felt like I had a lot to share. Not that it was going to ever be, you know, quality, but you know, if somebody were looking for information or just wanted to see something being done and didn't know how, I felt like I had things to share. And so for the next 3 years, I put out a video once every week. Every week I had a video out for 3 friggin' years, until this last Christmas. And I got so burned out by Christmas time, not only because of YouTube videos, but because of the presents I had to make for my wife's friends and coworkers that was just enormous. I mean, I don't want to go into it, but I was done. I just kind of said, you know what? I'm getting off the horse. The problem that I've had with is personally, and I'm speaking for myself personally, and that's why I appreciate Andy's question, is I've had a hard time getting back on the horse. You know, and I think that kind of a rethink on this whole thing is that I don't need to put out a video every week. I can do it when I want to, because I'm not doing this for a living like Bobby. I'm not going and waking up in the morning to make a living for my family as a tradesman like Richard. I'm doing this to have fun. So when it stops being fun, then I'm going to stop doing it. I'm sorry. But you know, and then when it becomes fun again, or I have an idea, I'll go out and do it. So I've just kind of lowered the expectations upon myself. And I don't know that that's an answer to Andy's question on how to avoid it, but that's how I deal with it. I don't know how anybody else deals with that. But that's how I dealt with it.
Kat actually asked a question out in the chat for Bobby, actually, and it is, does Bobby still make for fun?
What? For fun?
Do you still make for fun?
Oh,
obviously you do a lot for work, but do you still make it for fun?
I really don't do anything that I'm making nowadays. I'm recording it. I fantasize occasionally about just doing something without having the camera roll, but it also there's to answer everything I make is because I want to make it. I'm not going to make something that I really just hate making it, or right. It's not going to be
because you want that,
right? Yes, I want that. I want all the wood. No. Yes, everything I make is because I want to make it, and it is fun, and it still is fun. But I've intentionally decreased my output to make sure it stays fun. Yeah. Because I think people are really perceptive, and if they know that, or they'll pick up on the fact that it's not fun anymore for me. You know, in a video, you can try to hide it and pass it off as I don't know, but
doesn't work.
Yeah, and before I even start a video, I'm like, is this something that interests me? And if it doesn't interest me, then I won't do it, you know, even if it's a trend, like the aluminum foil ball. You know, tons of people were asking me to do that. I knew that the video probably would perform well, but I had zero interest in spending hours and hours hammering on a ball of aluminum and trying to make it polished. Like that did not interest me. So that's another thing, picking topics that I find interesting. But yes, to answer the question, it's all still for fun for me. It is a job, but it's a weird job because there's so much more you have to think about, you know, than just going to work. Because a lot of people, like, if they don't like their job, they still got to do it. I still have to do my job, but I have to balance. There's this balancing act where if I hate it, then people are going to pick up on it, and no one's, you know, to keep this ball rolling, I have to go at a certain pace that I can keep it fun, which is a weird thing to think about it for a job, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for most people that do 9 to 5s, that would be a rather strange concept. They'd be like, oh, I'd like to work at the bank today, but tomorrow I'm not sure I want to. You know, I mean, they kind of have to do it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to think about. It's still weird for me, you know, because I used to have to get up at 3:30 in the morning and go to my truck driving job and work, you know, 60, 70 hours a week or whatever. The thing that blows my mind is I was doing that and putting almost a video out once a week back when I was, you know, doing my, you know, perspective change, you know.
Gotcha.
It's interesting.
It's funny how, you know, you can go to a job that you hate and be miserable and still get your job done, and everyone just go, oh, he's the miserable one that doesn't like his job. But you still get paid at the end of the week. Whereas essentially what you're saying is if you start making things that you aren't interested in making, everyone watching it will go, oh, that's the guy that doesn't like making the thing he's making. And that then becomes less of an incentive to watch it, which then is just pulling your own business down, isn't it? Rather than not performing for somebody else's. It's a very, like you say, it's a very delicate stack of cards that you have to spin plates all the time, and I think people watching don't realize that.
Right, and it's also like people, maybe they believe me or not, but everything that I make usually is the first time I've ever made it. You know, I don't like doing the same things over and over. Occasionally I'll come back to something like a tiny knife, but it's always a different design or a different process. or working in a medium I've never worked before. So there's also that fear aspect of, am I going to waste a whole bunch of time on this and it's going to end up being a total flop? Or am I going to fail at this? So I still have all the same internal struggles everyone else has. Like, is this going to suck? Am I any good? So I have to overcome those weird insecurities as well.
You know who handles that really well? And this just from an outsider looking in, because I know him, I have met him, but I don't know him. He's not coming over for Thanksgiving dinner this year. But Peter Brown handles that really well.
Mm-hmm.
He actually, when he spends a lot of time making a project, and when it absolutely fails, and it's happened to him more than once, he shows it. He goes, and he makes a joke out of what a catastrophe it was. Now, that's probably not good for a sponsored video, but I mean, from a maker standpoint and not getting burned out, it is what it is. Put it out there. I don't have a problem with that either. And that's a lot of attraction that people have for Peter, because he's like brutally honest about the stuff that he makes.
If I fail, I'll put it out there. I just have been really fortunate to not fail recently, other than the breaking of that one piece.
You blame that on the photographer.
Yeah, he was supposed to catch. He was supposed to catch it. No, that was definitely a fail. I've just been pretty fortunate to not have a lot of failures. I try to put them in there. It is a learning process, but I try to be very methodical about my process, even though I may not know how to work with the thing or do the thing. But like with the ostrich egg, I incorporated the failures into the piece. Like it cracked because it expanded and it cracked the egg, and I just kind of went with it,
Right.
And in the end, it still turned out cool. In fact, that crack, I think, made it even cooler because it gave some points of refraction for the light shining through it.
Well, and for point of reference, I wasn't speaking with you. I was basically speaking to the people that are going to be listening to this. Is just that that I find the way Peter approaches failure worthwhile to take a look at, and perhaps an attitude adjustment. Just as something else, another option for people to possibly look at. As opposed to becoming all bummed out and throwing their tools up in the air and walking away. It's celebrate your failures, because if you don't fail, you're never going to friggin' learn. I mean, it's part of learning. I mean, it's like, don't hide it. It's okay. Yeah. It's quite all right.
Yeah. I seem to remember when we had Peter on with us, one of his comments was, I don't want my, because I think somebody asked him whether he was going to give up his job and do YouTube full time. And he just turned around and said, I don't want it to be my full-time job. I'm quite happy with it being my hobby, because it's an escape. It's something else to do other than.
Yeah.
And that's a good way, I think, to avoid the whole burnout scenario, because he's got a job. If he wants to stop putting things in epoxy, he can do for a period of time until you kind of feel like it again. I think if you're in a position where that is your job, you don't have that sort of escape. Well, that's the right word, but
that's kind of the example I was trying to give with myself. Is that because I got on this ball where I'm putting out a video every week, and all of a sudden it became a thing that I felt I had to do. And as a result of that, the videos weren't always that good. They weren't that fun, because I got the Bobby, what Bobby was mentioning about, people going to know when you're not liking what you're doing. And that became obvious. But the pressure I put on myself to do it all of a sudden became the motivation for doing it. And that's the wrong way to go, because I was actually having fun to begin with, and it stopped being fun. This was, I enjoyed putting out the Christmas videos I did for the kids, because I love making kids toys. But doing it, there was the following aspect of that afterwards. It was making the presents for my wife's things that actually just made me go, I'm tired of this, and I can't be bothered to put out a video next week. And then next week worked into week 2, and then week 3, and then week 8 rolled around, and I'm still not in the mood. It's like, how do you get back on the horse is the question. And I'm not asking it from me. It's the question Andy asked. How do you avoid it, and how do you get back on the horse again? Or do you need to worry about a method, or do you just do it when hey, look, when I'm in the mood, I'll do it. How do you approach that? Because a lot of people, they stress out about that. I'm not personally stressed about it. I don't care. But people do stress about, well, I'm not putting out a video anymore, and I haven't done for a while. And rather than quit, how do you get back on the horse? Or is it something you really need to manage?
When we was in Maker Central, I got to a point where I basically couldn't walk right? I was in so much pain. And there's been a few times where Jake Thompson was, I don't know if I want to say he went through burnout or whatever. And I basically just turned around and just said to him, don't be a bitch. Right. And basically, and when it got to the point, I got out of bed on the first day and he turned around when I showed him I couldn't walk. And he basically used them exact words back on me. And it was a case of like, wake up. And it's, I don't know, it's, and I've always used it. I've always kind of used like the tough love kind of thing. And it just kind of, I don't know, it just hits me easier that way, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just don't be a bitch. So just go do it.
I'm going to take it in a completely different direction. In response to Chris, you know, how do you stop it happening? I find being organised, and I don't know if this will help you, Bobby, because you specifically said you were really unorganised.
That's an understatement.
You know, I mean, you can probably see behind me. I've got now a board where it's a checklist. I've got this on the go. I've got that planned. I've got this. Can anyone hear me still? Because my computer's just kind of timed out and gone to sleep.
Yeah,
that's very weird. It's never done that ever before. I get organised. You know, I make sure I've done the intro, I've done the outro. I have a set intro and a set outro, because that just relieves a third of the video effectively. If I've got a pre-recorded intro that I only need to change up every now and again, not every video, it's done. That's 1/3 of the video I haven't got to worry about. Same with the outro, and then I've just got to record the video. And I find just organised. Right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'll just record a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of that. And I'll move the camera there, and I'll just record
storyboarding, essentially.
Yeah, but in my head, because like for years, people say, "Oh, you need to storyboard." I'm like, "What? I've got to draw those stupid little I can't draw little cartoon things. Like, get out of here!" I do it from start to finish, and I record it, and I pick out the bits I want when I edit. That was me. But now I'm just like, I'll record cutting these bits, and I'll just record 20-30 seconds, because that makes things easier in the edit. I haven't got to trawl through an hour of me cutting 2 bits of wood. You know what I mean? It just makes things simpler so that I don't have so much work, basically. And if I haven't got as much work to do, there's less to get me stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things DeResta said once, just to make things a bit simpler, if you're making a table, you don't need to show cutting all 4 table legs. You just show cutting 1. And just say that you've done it 4 times.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, put it down next to the 3 identical ones you've already made. Yeah, I mean, it's not hard.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that we've actually helped him, because I don't know if there's an honest answer to this. I think it's kind of a personal answer. I mean, how do you get back on the horse? How do you avoid it? It's up to you. I guess, like Richard mentioned earlier, recognizing the fact that you're getting to the point of being there is probably half the battle. You know, then you know what to do. But I mean, when all of a sudden it just happens and you throw up your hands and go, "I don't want to do this anymore," that's kind of too late.
I mean, I don't quite know how I'd react if I was in Bobby's position and I had literally everything at the point where everything was held up by my videos. But the fact that I guess the majority of people aren't in that position.
I wish I was Bobby and I had everything as well.
I don't have everything.
Everyone wants to be like Bobby.
Oh, whatever.
I guarantee you he's got a wife that's going, "No, you don't." No, you
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. My unorganization is like not the bane of Nicole's existence, but she tells me all the time to get organized. Back on your point of organization. And one thing real quick about the videos and storyboarding and stuff, I've thought about stuff like that before, and it does help, but I never see the big picture with a video before I start shooting, ever. Like, it's never this fully formed idea. I will get the intro idea, and then just like the piece itself, I build on that as I'm going and editing or recording the video. So it evolves along with the shooting, and the whole editing process for me is the video is done when I get to the end of the edit, not beforehand. And I think part of my videos, that's why I think they're fun to watch, because they are a little scatterbrained, in the flow. A lot of times I'll go on tangent, or I'll do something silly or whatever that I don't even think of until right at that moment. So I don't know. I've tried to giving that a shot, but I keep telling myself I'm going to try, and then I end up just doing it the way I've always done it before. But it's a lengthier process, the way I do
it. That could be a way to avoid it as well, because that's, like you said, that's the way you've always done it. That's what you're comfortable with. That's your own system. There is such a thing as organized chaos, because if it's all jumbled in your head, at least you know where in your head they're jumbled. And do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
There is.
And I do take notes. Like I'll use my phone, and if I have an idea pop in my head, it may not even be for the video that I'm working on. It may fit better into another one, and I will sometimes even shoot footage. Like, so you'll notice there's some serious continuity issues in my videos if you actually pay attention. Like, my whole outfit will change from one scene to another, because what I said at this moment makes sense right after this cut, even though it's at a different time or point in the video. I'll just fit it in, because so that's the thing is, I think it's funny too, because if anyone's paying attention, they'll be like, wait a second. And I've seen it before, like, wait, he was just wearing a red shirt, I was wearing a blue shirt.
Yeah. Matt Cremona put out a video a while back, probably a couple of years ago, because Matt had a full beard at one point in time, and he put out a video. He put out a full video once where he did the opening. He had the full beard. He was Matt that people had recognized and come to know. And then the next part of it is his sideburns were gone. He just had the whole thing. And then the next cut, he's wearing a different shirt. Beard is gone. Mustache remains. I mean, there was like 4 or 5 or even 6 cuts of Matt gradually just becoming barefaced, and you could tell it took over probably 6 days, and it was just a wild hair up his ass he decided to pursue, and he just videoed it. I thought it was funny.
That's funny. That is funny.
After thought, actually, I'd be interested to see if you could do a woodworking project video in the style of Pulp Fiction, where it's all just completely randomly chopped up and in the wrong order.
Yeah, I've thought about doing something with my beard, like shooting the end of the video parts that I wouldn't have to be, like somehow doing it to where I'm bearded at the end of the video. At the beginning, I shave it off, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't really like that. Snap my fingers, the beard's back on, and the rest of the video I have the beard. So people are like, wait, how did he? I've been thinking about doing something like that. I'm not sure how I would make that work.
The magic of editing.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's all in the edit. Like, people would start taking edit more seriously. I think that well, that's what was a turning point for my channel. Was the project is one aspect, but the edit is the video,
right?
And so it's the most important aspect of the video is your editing. That's why it's going to be so hard for me to give that up to someone else. Eventually, I'm going to have to if I want to start, putting out more than once a month. But I don't know. Sorry, that was a tangent.
No, that's fine. I mean, but it does help explain how to avoid burnout. How to avoid burnout. The answer is simple, but it's simple to say, perhaps not so easy to do. Is keep it fun. Keep it fun. If you can keep it fun, then you're not going to have the problem. But I mean, saying that is not as easy as doing that, and I think you have to recognize that as well. But if you can keep it fun, and sometimes you get burned out. I mean, when I was at work, I got burned out because I was doing the same thing every day from 7 in the morning until 7 o'clock at night, 6 days a week. You do that long enough, you get burned out because you're doing the same damn thing.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about what we're doing, it's time to change things up. Perhaps do something else. Go in a different direction. Do something else. Keep it interesting. Keep it fun. If you're getting burned out because I'm doing this, even if it's just a general thing, like I'm tired of doing woodworking, well, then find out about metalworking. Even if you're not out there filming it, get into the whole idea of it and see if that's something you can do to keep things interesting. And by the time you've done pursuing that, you may go, oh, I got this idea for something I want to make out of wood, and all of a sudden you're back in the wood shop doing what you want to do. It's I don't know.
I'm sorry, it's pronounced wood.
I'm sorry, I pronounced it wrongly.
And it's in the dictionary now, so you can't argue.
Urban Dictionary.
I must now go to my safe place because I feel uncomfortable.
just kind of floating through or trying to float through the live chat. It goes so quickly, and I can't barely read. Let
I
alone
can't see
speed
it, but
read.
I probably can. I can't tell. Is this my mic?
Yeah.
Or is this my
That's
That
well.
one.
I think that one, the one you just spoke into, is your mic.
this one?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it's my shotgun mic that I just have attached to my computer.
It's your rude.
You're rude, Mike.
Oh yeah, my. I was like, what?
I'm sorry.
It's very polite. Excuse me.
Pardon me for not getting that. Anyway,
Kat's come up with a good point actually, and I'm surprised that I didn't think of it, because she says,
I'm not.
No, you'll understand why. She says fresh air, exercise, and a bit of distance from the project. And we've sort of joked about, projects having a naughty step. They're putting projects on the, when something's not going right, just get a shot of it for a little while. But I love going and taking the dog for a walk when I'm stressed about, like halfway through an edit, or get to a point where I'm not looking for. We all get to do a project where you're like, I'm not looking forward to that bit. Is it going to go right? It could make or break it. It's time to step away. We'll go and walk the dog, and we'll just leave the phones behind, go out about an hour or so, and just put your head in a completely different space. And that makes the world of difference. It doesn't have to be a month, a week, just an hour in the middle of the day, middle of like a lunch break. That can be a turning point in a project. And I've had projects literally turn a corner just by leaving them like that.
Yep.
Yeah, but Richard, as a tradesman, somebody who does this for people who hire you,
Yeah.
I can understand you doing that as your fun and your hobby, and perhaps even just, it may even be, have a purpose that you have, I'm making this because I need it type thing. But when you're at a client's house and you get to a point where you've got their window pulled out and you're looking to rebuild the frame around their window, and you're all of a sudden perplexed with a problem, the client really doesn't want you to go take your dog for a walk. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They really want their window back in their home. How do you handle that?
Right. So in that
Burn
sort of
their house down.
I did.
I mean,
The way
matched. Yeah, not my problem.
burn the house down.
That a little bit of that is actually Jamie's solution.
Yeah.
Just like, put your big boy pants on, grow up, deal with it, and you have to sort of have a little word. I have done things before. I mean, like most people have had little hiccups and problems. Like there was you're restoring an old window and you smash a pane of glass.
Oops.
And like,
Yeah.
I can put the window back, but it's still going to be a big hole inside. Or you can't leave because it's unsecured and things like that. So there are moments where you sort of not looking forward to something. Have a backup is one in that sort of situation. But generally, a lot of people kind of misconception. Yes, I might be doing that for money, and that kind of puts it, I guess, a little bit into the severity of Bobby's videos. As it's a paid job for the client. That's where the bills come from, because that's work.
Yeah.
When I do the video side of it, that tends to be more me just clowning around and having fun. So I mean, I don't turn bowls on the lathe as a client job. I don't do some of the things that I've made videos
Or tutorials or reviews, or I mean, you're not doing that. Okay, I guess.
So there's I try and keep the videos that I make more as the hobby, and they then tend to be quite different as to what I do as like client work. But I have done client work videos that fitted in terms of time, and and that sort of thing.
I don't know that we've actually been able to, and I don't know that anybody could actually answer Andy's question to start out with, but I think we've done the best we could about how to avoid burnout. I mean, I don't know. The best answer I have is keep it fun. Following that, how to avoid burnout as a YouTuber, unless you're trying to become the next star, then just do that when you're having fun. I mean, if you're trying to be serious about it, then, that's burnout is a thing you have to deal with, much like you would if you worked at the bank from 9 to 5. I mean, it's going to happen. Know that you need to take a vacation when you need a vacation, first of all, and then crack on. You like Jamie said, put your big pants on and then big boy pants on. If this is what you want to do for a living, then it's, sorry, there are some luxuries you can't afford when it's your job. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, it's like there are times when you want to call in sick to work, but you can't because you need the freaking paycheck for that day. I mean, that's pretty much the answer. But anyway, guys, I don't know how to end this except to say that's the best I can kind of wrap things up. If you guys have something else you'd like to say, go right ahead. But we've still got shout outs to do. We've got Jamie's friggin' yellow pages of life to get to. I mean, so we've got a bit to go.
Yeah.
Now Bobby looks really
Bobby's looking perplexed.
I just have one real quick.
Go on,
can you guys in the UK have the Maker knife legally?
Yes.
You can?
Can you carry it though? Can you
You're not allowed to swing it about?
You can't walk around. No, but can you have it in your pocket? Is that allowed?
No.
No,
really.
it is allowed because it's the law. The actual law says it's got to be a folding or retractable blade, not over a certain length. And I'm sure there's people in the live chat quoting.
Yeah, it's like 7 inches in it, or something like that.
So the fact that it is A, retractable blade, and B, only a utility knife, standing knife blade, it's only an inch. Then you wouldn't get arrested for carrying it.
You might get harassed a little.
You'd probably get arrested if you went wielding it in the streets. So again, perspective. But no, it's not illegal to own or even to carry that.
Cool. And one more thing, JP looks a lot like the Terminator when he gets his eye just right.
Yeah,
There's a red dot just in one of his eyes. Sorry. Okay. So I actually got to run. Hey, I really appreciate it, guys.
Bobby, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on.
Make it easy, Bobby.
I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Right.
Well, that was a surprise guest.
It's a shame because he's left just in time for
Jamie's page.
Okay.
So, Jamie's page. So, a little while ago, I believe I mentioned it on the podcast briefly before. I came up with an idea for people to send Kat their t-shirts and her to make a Maker Quilt. And having Richard and Kat down this weekend has kind of stuck a grenade up my rear end and actually get it arranged.
Jamie, mind me pointing out that's not a good visual. I mean, mentally, you might want to find a better way to say the grenade thing. I'm just, whatever.
To a happy place,
well, that's basically what it was. So basically what it was. So here's the Maker. What basically the Maker Quilt is a lot of people have got their own merchandise, mainly t-shirts, and basically what we was going to do is everybody that wants to be part of this will each send Kat their t-shirt, and what Kat will do will she's going to take all of the t-shirts and sew them all together, and it's going to make one great big Maker Quilt. And since Kat is obviously putting in a hell of a lot of work with this, it was easily decided that Kat was going to be the one to choose who got the money after the quilt got
sold,
raffled off, or sold, or however we get the funds for it, right? And Kat decided to donate the money to the Guide Dogs UK, which is obviously Maker related as well, because that's where Bamba, the blind woodturner's dog, come from.
Chris Fisher, you're right.
Exactly, yeah. There has been an address where everybody can send their shirts to. So you send it to #MakerQuilt to Mars Buttons Knit and Sew, 3A Victoria Road, Rushden, NN100AH, United Kingdom. Okay.
You're going to need to send me that so I can put that in the description for the folks on Wednesday. So they actually have that address.
There's a couple of other things. So if you're outside the UK, for example, if you're in the States and you want to be part of this, can you put a £10 or less than $10 value on the package and send it as a gift? Because there's a chance that you could end up with a customs charge, and obviously the last thing we want is the shop or Cat to get a customs charge. Since obviously Cat's doing this for nothing really. So yeah, we want to do that, and also make sure you go over to Mars Button Knit and Sew on Facebook and give them a love, as they're actually donating all of the cotton and thread to sew all of the shirts together to make the quilt.
So Kat is basically, I mean, we're trying to keep this so Kat, there's no out-of-pocket money for Kat because she's the one putting all the work into the darn thing. So let's keep this affordable. And the people that you just mentioned have offered her the material she needs, the backing, the thread to bind it, things of that nature. And then we're hoping that people with T-shirts will donate them to raise some money for the guide dogs. Hey, that's admirable charity. I mean, and you know what? I don't know how fantastic a publicity it will be for you, but I'm quite sure that it's going to get distributed and people will be able to see it. And, you get your name out there in some way. If you're looking to make the donation for that reason, if you just want to help, then that's, even more admirable in my opinion. But anyway, awesome. I think that's great. I think that's great.
Yeah. So if you're like Chris and you've outgrown them, then
says Jamie.
Then send some Cat's way, or even if they've gotten a little bit too old or whatever, I don't know. But anyway, my shout out this week goes to the one and only Heath Knuckles. He made a pencil and resin hybrid toilet seat.
That was
awesome.
Awesome.
I'm not going to say any more about that. I think that says everything. Truth be told, so yeah, Mr. Knuckles.
Awesome video. Oh my god. My shout out this week is going to surprise you. And I know, and you may want to give me crap about it, but I don't care. My shout out this week goes to the 5x30 workshop.
Julia Martinez, I know why.
Julian Martinez. He started the For Beginners series on his channel about scroll sawing. And I know what you're thinking. It's like, Chris, but you don't like scroll sawing. And yes, while that is normally true, for anybody who might be interested in getting into scroll sawing or who is a newbie at it, the series that he's doing, and he's only put out episode 1 so far, there's a lot of good, useful information in there. I mean, having scroll sawed in the past, I kind of know and had to learn these things on my own. And it would really be nice to get into scroll sawing with that kind of knowledge already in your mind. So, Julian, I applaud what you're doing. Don't know if you do a participation thing with this that I would get involved necessarily, but I do enjoy the fact that you're putting this out there because that's information a lot of newbie scroll sawers wouldn't know unless they learned it on their own. And it's just in the long run, it's going to save folks money if they pay attention to what he's doing there. So, Julian, you got it, man. 5x30 workshop on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. There'll be a link in the description down below on Wednesday.
And despite what Justin Christensen says, Julian does know his stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he get a little bit of stick for those that video? The introduction.
Yeah, a lot of people went and disliked the video for some reason. I don't know why. It's about scroll saws.
I like that. It was me. It was all my accounts. Like
that's what I told Julian.
It wasn't really, but yeah, genuinely, anyone putting out like those sort of informational videos, tutorial type videos, that's an instant thumbs up from me, because YouTube's a search engine. It's not just an entertainment platform. It is a repository for information. So that it's just feeding the animal from that one as far as I can.
I agree. That's why I bit the bullet on that this week, Richard.
That must have been. I know. I feel your pain, Chris. That was a bitter pill to swallow, I'm sure. Which is why he's probably been drinking so much. I haven't got any very specific shout outs in terms of videos, but I do want to just a couple of, I guess, honourable mentions, for want of a better expression. I'm going to shout out and say hi to, forgive me if I get this wrong, I think it's Doug over at Pole Barn Productions. I had a very, very brief conversation with him I think it was like, "Hi, how you doing? Great, me too. Bye." Kind of a conversation whilst I was at Jamie's. I think Mini Noodle kicked us both out of Jamie's workshop, and we were that was
something like that.
And also to Carl and Robin Jacobson, so because we had a quick little chat with them as well. So big shout out and just a hi to them. So
Awesome.
that was that. And if I might just add, just kind of tag on to Jamie's page. With the t-shirts.
What
Do
the
it
hell?
again.
What the hell? You two?
Do it again.
Yeah, we are besties now.
I am never doing that. Go ahead.
If you're in the UK, I know it's short notice, but regarding these t-shirts, if you've got a Bucksheet Maker t-shirt or anything like that, and you don't want to stump up the postage, which I completely understand, and you're going down to the Yandles show beginning of September. I think it's the 6th and 7th, is it? Something like that. It's a Friday and Saturday at Yandles. Both myself, Kat and Mini Noodle are going to be there for the duration. So, take it out of the wardrobe, not the wash basket. Chuck it in a carry bag, bring it down to Yandles and hand it to Kat. I think she's having her own little kind of stand there with her yarn and stuff. So, by all means, then chuck that. Cause
Save some postage. If you're going to the show anyway, save some postage.
There's a lot of work goes into. I've seen her do these quilts before, so she's going to be making them for quite a while. So if she gets stuff coming in, she can work on those while other stuff comes in as well. So awesome!
Yeah.
Fingers crossed that's a big success, because the guide dogs. If you can't decide if that's a good charity, go to their website and just look at the little heart-wrenching puppy pictures they've got to promote.
Yeah.
Sponsoring.
I don't think there's going to be any doubt that's a good cause. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kat was just saying we're hoping to raise enough money to start sponsor the dog to get through its training. So it's an awesome.
I mean, we were chatting with Chris and Nicola at Makers last year and this year, and I was gobsmacked. Chris said he knows the exact figures, but it's something like 120 grand to pay for a guide dog's training.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that.
Literally, you could buy a house for the cost of a guide dog, and that to me is just mind-blowing.
Well, it's the insane amount of time that people have to spend with a dog to get them trained up to that nature.
And they do become lifelong.
Yes, they do.
It's not just like you get on a loan for how long. It's a lifelong thing.
There's no question that's worthwhile. So if you guys want to get into that, fantastic.
I could do it with $2 of mini sausages from the supermarket. Or on a scroll saw.
Can't cook baked beans on a scroll saw, though. We did ascertain that this week.
I'm going to be the Debbie Downer because we're already like 12 minutes past my normal editing period. And so I'm going to say we should probably wrap this up. But I want to turn people on to next week's episode because unlike us, we actually know what we're going to be talking about next week. And next week, here in the U.S., next Sunday, the following Monday is the beginning of Women's Equality Week here in the U.S. So the subject of next week's show is we're going to have some ladies on with us, and we want to find out how equal women feel within this community. And it's a serious conversation, but it's going to be very tongue-in-cheek as well. But, I mean, there is an aspect where, I think it's worth discussing. And so that's going to be our topic for next week. So look for that. But until then, Richard.
Yep.
Say goodbye.
Is it time to say bye-bye?
It is.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.